Well, here's something you don't see every day from IAG coming up next. So welcome to IAG. I'll just call it IAG. I won't call it Trade Talk or On the Run because it's none of those things. Actually, what we're doing here today is a little bit of an introduction to the July issue of IAG. It was such a great and interesting issue that we thought we'd give you a little bit of a tease and explain what's in the issue and go through it, because we've got 10 fantastic stories. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Andrew Scott. I'm the Vice Chairman and CEO of IAG. We're here with Ben Blaschke, who's the Managing Editor of IAG and helped put the July issue together. So yeah, let's go through the issue and explain a little bit about it, because I think it's one of the best issues we've ever put out, Ben. I did sit down with him, and it was a really interesting deep dive interview. And actually, he seemed very free and easy, and quite, yeah, he wasn't too guarded at all, which was great. He was really divulging a lot and being very open and honest with us. And look, there was, I don't know how many questions I asked him, but maybe a dozen or 15 or something like that. And he was really open and honest with us. And even the last question was a personal one about him. So make sure you check that out. It was just a really, really good interview. Well, that was another one-on-one interview. We actually videotaped that one, so there'll be video coming out of that. IAG's been getting a lot of big interviews lately. We interviewed, of course, Francis Loy, who was on the cover of last month, Wilfred Wong on the cover of this month, Hoffman, and there might just be one or two more in the works coming up in future months as well. I think what's really interesting about Success Universe is the Pont 16 property up there. It's in a really unusual location on the inner harbour. There's no casinos near it, no resorts near it. It does have Sofitel in there, so that gives it a good name. And also the company that runs Success Universe, or runs the Pont 16 property, used to be a junket, but they've really sort of moved away from their junket roots now, and they've reinvented themselves as a management company of a satellite property, one of the SJM satellite properties. So it was very interesting to hear what Dr. Ma had to say about the future of a satellite property. Yeah, I quite enjoyed reading that one. I've read the whole issue cover to cover in the last few days, and just as we finalise it, and that's the first of a series of six, I understand, stories that Charlie's going to write. How did that come about? And then the next article, we're moving through the magazine chronologically through the issue, or in order from front cover to back cover. The next one's from Spectrum, the consulting firm, and I found that was very interesting as well. Fred Gushin and Paul Bromberg writing about Singapore, the Singapore regulatory environment, and it's really become clear that Singapore is the model that everyone wants to be, and they've written a bit about how it came to be, and the advantages and the evolution of the regulatory environment in Singapore. So I think it's a really great article. Yeah, Singapore criticised for that for a long time, but sort of got to say "I told you so" in this day and age. The next article was from Piers Chan, our local Chinese journalist right here in Macau, who focuses on Macau stories. And I thought it was really interesting. It was his idea for the article. He pitched the idea, and we agreed to that. It's all about the Air Macau monopoly coming to an end. I think it's at 28 years. It's had the monopoly, and that's coming to an end. Is it next year? I can't remember when it is exactly.
At the end of this year.
End of this year, right.
Looking to.
So that'll be really interesting because, as we all know, competition improves standards and improves delivery, and there has been criticism of Macau's airlift and the airport and the lack of availability and so forth. So throwing that out to competition, and we might end up with an Air Asia or a Thai Smile or, you know, maybe a Silk Air or something like that coming directly into Macau. New Viva, we won't talk about Viva Macau for those of you who are old enough to remember. And there goes the light. And we're back. Yes, the light just went out for a second, so we had to fix the lights. But anyway, now what were we talking about? I think we'd finished that one about the Air Macau one. Yeah, at IAG we're sort of required, I guess, because of the way the industry is, to write these sort of product and tech talk articles, which might be very interesting to suppliers, might be very interesting to that sort of small subset of within operators that deal directly with suppliers of slot machines and gaming products. But sometimes those articles are a bit dry for other people who are not directly involved in that. But I didn't find this one dry at all. I've actually found it quite interesting to read. Sega Sammy really wanting to mix it up with the big boys and saying they're going to make a big push, and yeah, the appointment of Takashi-san is big part of that. So looks like Sega Sammy really wants to do something major in Asia. Yeah, well, Jumbo, I think did you interview them directly, or maybe they sent you some materials or something like that?
Yeah, we spoke to them afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, Jumbo, a company from Taiwan, and also a manufacturer, and just covering some of their latest products and that sort of thing, isn't it? And then two stories, the eighth and the ninth story of the 10 stories in the article, in the issue, I should say. Two stories about trade shows. Trade shows, of course, back now. COVID's in the rear vision mirror at long last. And a story about G2E Asia. Of course, we had G2E Asia in Singapore at the end of May and June the 1st. And now we've got G2E Asia in Macau, July 11, 12, 13. Tell us a little bit about that story. And the next story is all about it's all about us. We've got a new event, the industry party, very orange. All the branding is very orange. So we've got this new event which will be on day 2 of G2E Asia Macau. It'll be at the Vista at MGM Cotai, an easy 20-minute walk from G2E Asia floor, or even a 5-minute cab ride. And that's going to be a great party. It's going to be quite a bit bigger than one of our MADs, for example. It's going to be involve everyone. I think we've got lots of sponsors. Pretty much every supplier is involved. All the major suppliers are involved. Who have we got as sponsors, Ben, for that? Yes, I think you're going to see one or two more gold sponsors, and there might even be a much bigger sponsor. There might even be a diamond sponsor on the way. So it's going to be a good, I think, 6 or 7 companies all together in the room. and make sure you get an invitation to that. Now it's going to be very strictly by invitation only, that event, by invitation either of the organiser, which is us, IAG, or one of the sponsors, and they have a certain number of tickets available depending on their sponsorship for their staff and their invited guests. So that's going to be quite a big party and quite an enjoyable, fun party with some new and different things from us. And then finally, we do this 10 years ago. What do we call it? 10 years ago,
10 years ago.
10 years ago. We always do the stories. I think it's always the last story in any issue of IAG. What was the cover story exactly 10 years ago? It's actually really interesting because quite often things have changed, or some ideas come along and it didn't work at all, or it really worked very well. But this month's was a doozy. This month was all about Crown and James Packer, and to compare the Crown that we were writing about 10 years ago to the Crown of today, it's like two completely different companies in space and time. Tell us a bit about that, Ben. Yes, that's a really interesting story, so grab that. So we're recording this on Tuesday. It's Mad tonight, so by the time you see it, Mad will have happened. So I hope I saw you last night as in tonight, if that makes sense. And more importantly, we hope to see you on July the 12th at the industry party. Very, very orange. Just look for the orange marketing, something completely different colour to what we normally use at MGM Cotai at the Vista up there. It's a beautiful venue. On July 12 at 6 p.m, not our usual 6:30. And just keep on pumping out these great issues of IAG. I mean, the quality of our monthly magazine has gone up so much over the last few years. It's now minimum of 100 pages. I think this one's 136 pages I saw. Perfect bound every month. And in our magazine now, monthly magazine, obviously that's a long time period, a month. So we don't do any news anymore in our magazine at all. It's all opinion and analysis, quite interesting stuff, deep dives, that sort of thing. And as well as it being, of course, a physical print magazine, we issue everything digitally. So if you subscribe to Breakfast Briefing, which I certainly hope you do, and if you don't, please do by going to our website asgam.com, asgam.com, and just clicking on subscribe free, and you can sign up. And if you do that, you will get the digital edition and be able to read the entire issue online. Very good. All right. Well, thanks everyone. A little bit of an unusual, interesting video this time, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.